John put Sloanina on his list and not Tim Howard.
Listen. There's no bias on
What?
that. He was at 10. He was at 10.
Insane
Listen,
behavior.
at the end of the day, he's gonna have a better career than Tim Howard. All right, I'm gonna say that. That is my wild take.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. Wake Up MLS, episode number 2. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jose Tejas. I'm the primary host of the show. Super excited to get us underway for the second episode in the show's history. And if you don't know who we are, what the show is all about, Wake Up MLS, the only MLS-themed show where your ball knowledge massively important, but not nearly as important as your ability to defend it. I am joined today by a panel of co-hosts, some of your favorite content creators on YouTube, on Twitch, other platforms out there. They each have a club that they represent with their content, and they're coming to the table today to debate who we feel are the top 5 best MLS players to ever exit the league. Okay, the top 5 to ever exit the league. We've even included an honorable mention 5 that we'll get to first. But before we do any of that, let me go and introduce our co-hosts for this evening and this episode. First up, the birthday boy. He is a massive Pac Northwest fan, specifically the Seattle Sounders. You'd probably know him as Rave Green TV or Next Gen Football. Let's welcome again the birthday boy, Xiaoyan. My man, how are you feeling today? Your birthday, bro. You ready to banter?
Dude, I'm feeling that birthday magic trickling down into today's video, so I'm prepared.
I love it, bro. I love it, man. And look, I think you're probably going to have some good luck on your side, I think, today with the fact that it's your birthday. I'm sure that I think you have a lot of opinions on what we're going to talk about today. I think you've made some videos on this before. So we'll jump into all of it here in one quick sec. Let's get everybody else in here. Next up, we have Chicago Fire fan, Twitch streamer extraordinaire, plays a lot of FIFA, John Rivera. John, bro, a lot of fiery takes on episode number 1. That one's going to debut tomorrow. We'll talk about it towards the end of the episode today. Brother, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. I come out fresh off of 3 out of 5 wins, 3 out of 5 games of Warzone. So, feeling kind of good. I had a good day.
Thursday night vibes, bro. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, and last but not least, we love our resident Atlanta United fan. At least most of us do. He's been doing this for quite some time. I'm excited to have him in here. AJ, welcome back, bro. Episode 2. You had more than a few interesting picks in the last one. I will say this one feels like it's a little more aligned on multiple fronts. But, bro, Thursday night, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you boys?
Good, bro. Birthday boy's probably doing the best, right? And then we got, I don't want to put all of his business out there, but John's birthday is coming up in a couple days. So, bro, it's a crazy week, I think, for everybody. But it doesn't save you from the picks you guys have all made. All right, everybody's put them in. We all kind of know where we stand with our top 5 players to ever exit the league and go have careers abroad. We'll go through all of it, guys. And for everybody who doesn't know how this show typically works, the point system is very, very easy. Each of the co-hosts you see on your screen today have already submitted their picks for the show. How the picks work is they select their top 5 or their top 10, and the highest player position-wise on that list receives the most points. So in this scenario, the number 1 person received 10, number 2 received 9, number 3 received 8, etc., etc. We tallied all the points together, put a list together based on number of points, which directly correlates to selection by each of our co-hosts, and we got a top 5. And not even just that, we got a 5 honorable mention. There's probably going to be some strong debate in there too, but we'll get into it. Again, boys, the top 5 players to ever have played in Major League Soccer and then gone on to exit the league and have a great career abroad. Okay, so we have our list here. I'm not going to waste any more time. We're going to get right into our honorable mention. Boys, I'm going to put the pick on the screen, and then I'm also going to say who had them highest in their list. I'm not going to go as far as to tell you where they were in that list, but just who had them the highest. Okay, so first one up. Brendan Aronson.
What? He's in an honorable mention?
An honorable mention. And I don't know if that's good or bad from you, Xiaoyan. You have a weird kind of interesting reaction right now, bro. So we'll get to it here in one quick second. But boys, he is number 5. If there was a top 5 for honorable mention, he is sort of towards the bottom. A decent pick nonetheless. And that, I will say, the highest in their list was for John. So let's start there, bro. You had Brendan Aronson in your list in some form or fashion. Why?
Because the fact that, for one, he was probably one of the most expensive players that have exited the league, and that's just a fact. Two,
Fair.
the things that he's done in Europe, yes, granted, haven't been that much, but the teams that he's been to, he's been growing and developing. So I think for myself and my list, I was basing it off of more of like what they've done recently, and like I guess I was more recency bias on that. So it wasn't really like he was high up there. I think it was just a name that I had to put on there.
Do you think this past season? This is for a question for anybody. Do we think this past season goes against Brendan Aronson a little bit, considering Leeds got relegated and considering that the Americans were much of the blame with that roster? Xiaoyan saying yes.
Ooh.
Anybody? Yes. Anybody?
I'll go for it. I think in a way, yeah. I think it does, but I feel like also I don't know how much Jesse Marsh had to play with that as well, because that is, I mean, he is a manager that brought him there, but it's also the thing that's like, did the system also suit him? You know, there's a lot of external factors, not just, I don't think one player makes a whole team. I don't think because of one player a team gets relegated. So there is that. So I think it does, but it also doesn't. That makes sense.
Xiaoyan, is Aronson good enough for the Premier League? Oh, sorry, AJ. I think there's a little bit of a delay, by the way. Xiaoyan, does Aronson belong in the Premier League?
Belong in the maybe. I think, I don't know. I'm not a Brendan Aronson enthusiast, but the thing is when you think about like Brendan Aronson belong in the Premier League, I don't know. He kind of threw a curveball at me. Does he belong in the Premier League? Maybe. I think maybe the Championship might have suited him pretty well, but he already jumped ship. He already said bye, have a good time, and then like he's already off the Union Berlin, I believe.
Yes.
One thing I'll say with Brendan Aronson, I think one thing that has hurt him and Adams, because Adams will probably be talked about in this video, I kind of hope. I think what taints them a little bit is the fact they did get relegated. But let's say if it was the beginning of the season, like when Leeds were actually having that like good purple patch in the beginning under Jesse Marsh, maybe the story might be a little bit different. But going back to talking about Brendan Aronson, he's accumulated a good transfer value going from Salzburg to Leeds to now Union Berlin. He's played in the Champions League. He's been successful, like he's been decent.
Still young.
Yeah, still really young. I am surprised he's so low on the list, to be honest. Just like, I don't know. Like, I think he really embodies the more recent like MLS exports going to Europe for me. Like, I think he really embodies it.
AJ, you had Aronson, or you didn't have Aronson in your list, I should say. Any reason as to why?
Yeah, I still think he's got a body of work enough to really call him best. Let's.
He's played in the Champions League.
Right? That doesn't mean
is that the standard for MLS players then?
Best.
Yeah, well, of course it should be for any player.
I think you get.
I think that's more circumstantial than actually their actual.
Did he get
level.
the team to Champions League?
Is it circumstantial though? Because I think you gotta generate that interest from those clubs. So like I don't think you just land on a team and boom, you get Champions League. You know what I mean? Like that interest needs to be there from those clubs. So. I mean,
well, obviously not. You don't get boom, but it's obviously there are not as great players on Champions League teams that get into their roster. It doesn't mean that they're a Champions League level player. Like that does not equate.
Did Union Berlin?
Is how many minutes did he play in the Champions League?
Did Union Berlin make Champions League?
I think they're in European competition. Don't know. I think they are. I think no. Union Berlin's either Champions League or Europa League. They're one of those two. So they're in Europe for sure.
If Aronson doesn't get meaningful minutes with them in Europe, does that decide this debate?
Well, I think it just depends if he's successful or not at Union Berlin, because he had because we can't deny it. His stint at Salzburg was a good success. That's why he got that stepping stone to Leeds. We can all agree on that. Leeds was a downturn. A lot of American fans can admit that. He had a below average season. That's fine. But now you're going to Union. This is the make it or break it, but he's still young. Luckily, he can mess up a couple more times. But this is now the make it or break it. Now he's playing for a top team in Germany. And now can you make it happen?
No, they did make Champions League. So that's what I just checked that. So They did make Champions League, but I feel like then why? I mean, I don't know. I feel like if he wasn't that good of a player, I don't think a team like that would be interested. You know what I mean? Like, I get it.
Fair.
It is a player that just got relegated, but I mean, a lot of those relegation sides, the teams that got relegated from the Prem, a lot of their players are getting poached from bigger sides. So like, this is a team that's just qualified for Champions League. I think they were in contention for the Bundesliga for a little bit before it kind of got away from them. So it's another thing where it's like, if this is a team that's interested in you and is willing to buy you, I don't exactly know what the figure amount was, but in that case, like, I think he's still going to be a vital part to that squad. So if someone's considering you important, then I don't know. You can kind of weigh that up there. Like, yeah, he hasn't done a lot, but let's also remember the teams that he's also been on. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's played on good for the fact he's only been in Europe for like 3-4 years. He's already played for 3 pretty big-ish teams in Europe too. That's the other thing for me.
But I do see somewhat of AJ's point in the sense that it's like, how impactful has, again, completely different argument, but how impactful has Pulisic been with any of the teams he's been on? And he's played for some very big clubs. And I just think sometimes it looks good on paper, on the resume, but when you think about the impact he left at any one of those clubs, I don't know if you can readily point that out, right? And same thing with Aronson.
I think he left a positive impact on Salzburg. I can put my hand up and say I think he did a pretty good job there.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. And obviously, of course, with MLS, right, you don't earn your way from MLS to Europe without leaving an impact. So I for everyone on this list, that is a disclaimer. Like, they've all had some kind of impact on MLS. Otherwise, they wouldn't have moved on. But how much of an impact did they have? So anyway, AJ, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think that's a very, very valid point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, boys. I think we all pretty good about this. This was something that, again, honorable mention, good enough to be there. I think if you start putting him higher up in the list, this only becomes more like a stronger point for us to debate. I think he just has a lot left to kind of go after in his career, and he should only continue to go up in this list as time goes on. All right, boys, on to the next one. An old head for anybody who's been following Major League Soccer for quite some time. The number 4 spot in our honorable mention, David Beckham. This is such an interesting place to put him, considering that he was like, to argue top 5 by a lot of people in the last episode, which was to highlight the best players in MLS history. So, and I would say most impactful, but I mean, his career after he left the Galaxy, it was almost sailing off into the sunset, right? A little bit. Like I mean, I know he got that PSG, he did nothing. He had like some momentous occasions in Champions League. I think back to Milan versus Manchester United, right? When it was him, Ronaldinho, Pirlo, all on the same team. There's some of that, but
we don't need to talk about this. He shouldn't even be in the top 10.
He should not be on this list,
He shouldn't be in the top 10. Sorry.
No,
move on. Move on.
Who did this?
It's Hernan.
Yeah, we're moving on. All right, so we're moving on. All right, we're moving on. We're moving on. Well, he was the highest up in somebody's list that's not here today, and at the end of the day, you know, that really kind of factored his way into this list. And so,
if David Beckham is on this honorable mention list, then Gaga Slonina should be on this list. Like,
I forgot about Slonina.
That's a huge talking point, though. Slonina hasn't really done much.
He hasn't done anything.
Apparently, he's been
but Chelsea
really
doesn't have
good
a keeper right now.
No, but apparently he's been really good for Chelsea's like development squad. Like,
how do we know? How do we know though? How do we know?
All the Chelsea news sources have been posting about it.
There's no game tape. Is what I'm saying.
Can I want to speak on this because like when he was at the fire, when he was at the fire, the season that we actually started in after fuck was it? I'm trying to think of his name. I can't remember their fucking goalkeeper that we had before, but he went to Atlanta. But when they benched him and they gave Gaga the rest of the season, he had his mistakes, right? He's obviously, it's a young keeper. You're gonna have mistakes. I think when you're seeing that, like you saw the development of a goalkeeper where he started off where he wasn't that great, he got better. But how do you make a jump over a season and a half and you go to Chelsea? Someone explain that to me. How do you have Poland and the United States fighting over you as a dual national?
And Poland's got like 3 good goalkeepers.
I'm not saying he's bad. Here's what I'm saying is that, one, we don't have any game tape on him. So, I mean, in terms of like playing against higher competition, that like for the purpose of this argument, I agree with you. massive ceiling with Slonina. I just think that it's like we don't have anything after his time with the Fire. So that's one.
Yeah, but at the same point, what the fuck do we have for Beckham? What Champions League, a couple Champions League
Dude,
games?
he
That's
had
it?
the
at least
moment
that
where-
he's worn a kit in an official match for a Champions League side.
I
just
think
think
he's
that-
gonna have a point.
But I just think at the end of the day, like Slonina, it's not just that he hasn't let's say he did suit up, right? Maybe he had a few matches in whatever competition.
Well, FA Cup, Carabao Cup.
Yeah. I just don't even
I-
know if that's really enough. you know?
I'm pretty sure he's gonna get some sort of game time because Chelsea.
I
has
think
not,
this
like-
season he will.
Yeah,
I think this
Yeah,
season
Chelsea
he will.
has not bought a keeper. They have
Yeah,
not.
he's
Bought,
their
all they have
number
right now
two.
is Kepa, and Kepa
Yeah,
and
he's-
Gaga. That's all they got.
And they're going their profile now as a team is very young, so it makes sense. And I think that he will see minutes. That'll happen for sure, and we can reassess it. I think at then. But I think with the move for Slonina, because you said it yourself, John. Right? He was young. We saw
He
reps
only
for
had
Chicago.
a season and a half.
Exactly. So I think it's a low risk bet that Chelsea made. It was like, you know what? It's not going to cost us that much if we try to
Kind of
take
like with Matt
someone.
Miazga.
But they paid 15 for him. They paid 15 mil.
That's
That's
Again,
not like it's-
similar to Matt Miazga.
It's not
again,
like it's-
for them. It's that's a pretty good fee actually. If you think about it,
that's
it's pretty
nothing.
close to Pepe, who was producing quite a bit in MLS before he left to Augsburg.
Dude, Pepe's a whole different story. If Pepe's on this list, I'm leaving. If Pepe's on this, no, I'm being
I do
serious.
not agree with you.
If we see Pepe, I'm walking out.
I feel that, but either way, we don't know yet. We don't know. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Stick around, and if it happens, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. All right?
He's the last person I want to hear from. Right? I've seen the things he said, bro. Nah, we're good. Me and Pepe are good, bro. If he's on this list, I'm walking out too.
Multiple people are going to leave. All right, that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. AJ, we'll debate ourselves. All right, moving on to the
we got this.
next person. I honestly don't like this pick. I feel like I felt the need to include this person lower on my list because of the fact that I felt like he was just someone who did it and like to a notable team. So without further ado, I don't really like the pick at all, but here he is, DeAndre Yedlin.
No.
Come on.
I don't really like the pick. It's not mine. I think it's cool to say he went from Sounders to Newcastle, and that's awesome. I love that. That's good for him. It looks good in the league. I just don't know if we can really say he's top 5, top 10 to ever exit this league and do something abroad.
No.
Our resident Sounders fan. Before I kind of lean into who had him the highest, as our Sounders fan here. I mean,
He wasn't even in my top 10.
But you, who on your top 10 really had a better, I guess, career than?
This is one way to look at DeAndre Yedlin. Same thing with Jordan Morris. Dude, don't get me wrong. I don't hate these guys, and I hate that people maybe think that. The thing is with Yedlin and Morris, hometown heroes for Seattle. But what are they good for? Speed. Nothing else. They are nothing. Without their speed, they are nothing. Yedlin was quick. People liked him because he's from Seattle and he was fast. In regards to a right back, actually being a right back, he was okay. He gets the big move to Europe. Maybe he goes to Tottenham. Basically doesn't play for Tottenham. Goes on loan to Sunderland. Then goes on loan to Newcastle. Then is bought by Newcastle. Now he's back in MLS. He's the exact same player he was 10 years ago. And it's been 10 years. He's fast and still can't defend. How does that make sense?
He honestly, if anybody watched the Gold Cup, he can't really pass or receive the ball well either. If I'm being honest, I just didn't see enough technical
Sounders
ability.
fans want him back, apparently. No.
Anyway, I think some people, and it was multiple people who had Yedlin in their list. Multiple people did. AJ, my man, I want to let you defend your pick. You did have Yedlin up there. What do you see in Yedlin that maybe you don't see in guys like Brendan Aronson?
Are you sure you didn't think this was Miguel Marone? I get the Newcastle thing.
No, so yeah, basically, yeah, he is a pace merchant. Yes, we know that. But yeah, there's a longevity to this as well. And so, yes,
True.
Will Brendan Aronson probably have a better career than Yedlin? Bets, yes, but we're going with best right now. And that absolutely has to have something to do with it. Not a recency bias that is basically kind of I think a lot of this list probably. And Yedlin, he's up there. He's up there
How many
in a
Champions
guy
League
that
has
has
Yedlin
played in
played?
Europe. I don't
That's
think
unfair,
it
John.
matters, man.
That's unfair. That's unfair.
Yeah.
Played for Tottenham.
Like it
Played for
really
Tottenham.
doesn't matter.
I don't even think he played for Tottenham.
No,
He
I don't
was
think
at
he did.
Tottenham.
I don't think he actually
was at Tottenham.
got minutes. But, yeah.
I
But
think
yeah, it was during the time that they were in Champions League. So yeah, there is that. So sure, if we're gonna go with that, that counts too. Sure, but it's just not. I don't think it's viable for that. Like the main thing about Yedlin, obviously, is that plus the United States national team experience. Like he's a stalwart there. It's hard to argue that he hasn't made a name for himself as a player that's gone beyond MLS.
Fair. I think the U.S. men's national team shout is decent because he has played World Cup matches. You can't say that about everybody on this list. I will say that. And that's a big thing. You can play it down all you want. It happens once every 4 years. U.S. men's national team hasn't always been historically strong. But nonetheless, he does have something in terms of experience and success that others don't. But I am really inclined to agree with Cheyenne from my perspective. I just think that I almost demand a little bit more for my outside backs. And in the Gold Cup, the fact that he got called up for this 2023 Gold Cup with a very young MLS heavy team, I get the need for veteranship and experience, but I just would have gone in a different direction. And watching him struggle against Jamaica actually hurt me as a person physically. I don't know, man. I just I really couldn't deal with it anymore. So, but either way, honorable mention, boys. Honorable mention. Let's move right into the next pick. Our last two honorable mentions before the top five, and the top five is going to be juicy. This one's actually solid. I feel like he could be a little bit higher depending on who you ask. I do have some friends that are very, very avid Leeds fans. Jack Harrison. I think this one's interesting. I think a lot of people like Jack. I think he played his college ball down here as well.
He was drafted here.
And then gone on to have a career in Europe as a European. I think it's just interesting.
Can we not bring up the fact that the Fire drafted him and then traded him away to?
and dude, and to top it off, being like the star he is for Leeds United, over the last few seasons. Yeah, bro. I mean, what the hell are the Fire?
Trade him for Gam and Tam, guys. Gam and Tam.
Dude, those are the best trades you can make. Gam and Tam.
Gam and Tam. Yeah, just
Major League Soccer.
Never seen him hit the. Never seen Gam or Tam hit the pitch, but they're really good.
Hey, never change. The Fire will never change.
Just more Chicago Fire things. Let's turn it over to the man who had him highest in the list. I actually think it was a solid pick. Xiaoyan, you had Jack Harrison pretty high. I like this pick. I feel like you and I have actually seen pretty eye to eye today. It feels kind of weird.
Where did I put him? I think I put him third or fourth.
Put him fourth.
Yeah, he deserves to be in the top 5. 1,000%. Not only I love this story, and similar to someone else we're going to talk about soon, who I discredited in the last video, and I know he played for the Sounders and whatnot, but he was drafted. Dude, he's English. The amount of criticism he got going to the Super Draft as an Englishman, dude. All of his friends back home were probably like, "What is Blood waffling about? He's coming to play in Major League Soccer, and he got drafted here." He was an instant goal hero for NYCFC, goes to Leeds, helps them get promoted. I think scores their first goal back in the Premier League in who knows how long, is a staple in that team. I think, and could possibly, he keeps playing for Leeds, could go down possibly as a cult hero, kind of an icon for the club. Going from MLS to an icon or a club legend, he's going to lean towards that. He's going to try to play for them as long as he can. I think he deserves to be in the top 5.
Yeah, that's a hell of an argument, man. I mean, look, like John already mentioned, drafted by the Fire and then ending up at Ellen Road, and not just ending up there, but ultimately being a staple in the side. I think it's really, really hard to argue against the fact that he should be in top 5. I think you had him highest at 4. I think we had 4 creators choose him altogether. 2 did not, and I think at the end of the day,
one of them Ernan.
We're not going into who picked him where.
He's not even here.
Birthday boy's feeling it today. But I will say that, I don't think anybody here could really argue against it. I know this is supposed to be a debate-heavy show, but, Jack has really kind of done it. He's in everybody's list for that reason. Unless anybody disagrees with that, let's move right on to our next pick. Are we all in agreement there?
I'm fine with that.
Let's do it. All right. Last one.
I think there's
go ahead.
a certain thing. So I think there's a little bit of a lag, yeah. But still, I think with Harrison, okay, if he becomes a legend at Leeds, well, the big question is, will they get promoted again? And if they don't, if this whole Champions League conversation bit, like that's weighing heavily, I don't think he's gonna be as high on this list.
Okay.
What
all-
about trophies? What about
said and
trophies?
done.
Like
So-
if he wins an English Carabao Cup,
Yeah.
if he wins,
Didn't he win Leeds finished in first the year they got promoted.
they
That's
won
a title right there.
yeah, but
if they
more
win
of
the
that,
title,
right?
I mean, but it's not Division 1, right?
I still
And so
think that's really great. A championship title is a really big trophy to win.
no doubt.
The
still
championship's
not
a different.
Division 1.
It's a difficult division to win. So
Oh, yeah, for sure.
it is valid. It's one of the
So you
hardest
think-
leagues to get out of.
So if Brendan Aronson goes on to have a similar career at Ellen Road to what Jack Harrison has had, does he move up higher for you, AJ? Not a ton of trophies, but he's
Probably,
seen substantial success, at least being a staple in that roster.
Right. I think the longevity would matter here. Now Harrison, it's I would argue it's like, I mean, to be I don't know, it's like to be a legend at Leeds when you're okay. I think the argument should be this: if he was an American, it'd be a completely different story. Right? But he is an Englishman.
Matter?
Why does it matter? Because it's this: would he still be at Leeds?
Maybe
be at
not
Leeds right now?
Probably not.
if
You
he's
know what?
American.
You might be right on that.
Because he did have an interesting start to this past season. He faced a good amount of adversity, didn't really have a strong start, came back after Christmas and seemed to find his legs again and kind of finish strong. But I kind of agree. I think if it was an American going through that tough little few months, that spell that he had, it would have been different.
Isn't that what makes his story so great, that he was English when he came to MLS? Isn't that what makes it so much? It's like it was the reverse.
True. He took almost like he handicapped himself, right? In his prime, youth years, he was doing college soccer, not playing in the championship or not playing, top tier football overseas. I agree with you.
But I do. That's a good shout though by AJ. He does I didn't think about it that way because also in signings in the Premier League, you have to have a certain amount of English quota, or I don't know how it still applies to the championship. So that is a good point too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should have to tell with some of the youth, but I mean, Jack, like Xiaoyan already said, the Cinderella story with Jack Harrison, like a lot of, I feel like there may be even people who didn't even know what his origin story really looks like, and are just crediting Jack with being a tried and true Englishman who maybe grew up in, I don't know, the Leeds Academy or something, when in reality, his story had way more obstacles to overcome. But nonetheless, still in our honorable mention, and to close the honorable mention out, a name that generated a ton of controversy in episode number 1, which debuts tomorrow, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And Xiaoyan's okay with that pick. I think top of honorable mention, right? I think that we're all, like I said, boys, we're all in much better alignment today. I think that, an incredible scoring-wise 2 to 3 seasons in MLS, went on to win the Scudetto multiple times prior to retiring at AC Milan. I think he's had an insane career all the way around, and was just shy of like that one trophy that we all know that he probably should have gotten somewhere along the way, the Champions League trophy. But it is what it is. He played for PSG and Milan, I guess. But in terms of his, his standing in this list, I don't know. Does he not deserve a crack at? Well, the person who had him highest is not here. Does he not deserve a crack at top 5?
Can we call out who the person was?
No, we're not doing that. We're not exposing anybody who's not here to defend themselves, bro. We can't do that. We can't do that. No. We can't do this. They gotta be here to defend themselves. But I will say this. I mean, he was in this honorable mention for me. He was at this exact spot, actually, the number 6 person, if you will. 56 goals in 52 games. I think that says everything it needs to say. The playoff wins hurt him a lot. The lack of impact from a trophy perspective hurts him a lot in this league, from my perspective. But nonetheless, he still went on to do crazy shit. So Anybody had him, I don't know, out of that list altogether? Like, just didn't even think about him when it comes to being one of the best to ever exit this league? No? Everybody had him, right? As far as I can tell, no, there was who didn't have Zlatan? Oh, no. Bali, not here. Okay, we're good. We're good. No, everybody had Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So this is probably the most
he already
faithful.
knows who got to put him higher.
Anyway, we're moving past that point. I'm trying my best, boys, just to, to again, they're not here to defend themselves. Moving into the top 5. And for these guys, I want to have some visuals before the names come up. I think it's only fair. I think it's going to be a fun way to kind of unveil each one of these picks. And so for the first one, again, going top 5, 5-1, the first pick, Tyler Adams. Okay, Tyler Adams, number 5. I think he is a solid pick. I think if anyone had Brendan Anderson in their list, Adams needed to be way higher. I think everybody had him except for everybody had him. This is one of the few where everybody had him in the list, just in different places. So Tyler Adams, we're talking about Leeds players. It's been a massive subject for today's episode. I think for the person who had him lowest in this list was me. I had him right here at top 5. I don't think he is anywhere near number 1. I think even when you talk about what he did this past season, does anybody feel like Tyler Adams is just coined as this super physical American mid? That's all he can really do. He's kind of just a physicality merchant, I guess you could say, and maybe lacks the touch that a midfielder should have, so that therefore he's not impactful. I kind of feel like that rubbed off on me a lot this past season, and I don't know if there's even really a ton of legacy you can call upon when it comes to what he's done beyond leaving the Red Bulls. I mean, this is like a Brendan Aronson 2.0, is it not? Anybody else disagree with that?
Again, I think his better stint was when he was like Aronson. Obviously, Aronson was at Salzburg, but I think Adams was better at Leipzig.
I mean, yeah, because it's the Bundesliga. I mean, like in the Premier League, it's just a different story. I just feel like he wasn't super successful. Even as a midfielder, he has a great work rate. But even in the World Cup with the U.S. men's national team, he was the reason the first goal went in against the Netherlands, against the first real top 10 team they played in that tournament. I don't know. Is he overrated? Is Tyler Adams overrated?
Every American's overrated. Let me not in like a bad way. No, I don't mean it in a bad way, but like because obviously we're surrounded by American media, we're surrounded by American fans. Every American is a bit overrated. That's honest truth.
Okay, so then just the eye test from your perspective, is he a Premier League midfielder?
Maybe a championship one.
John, is he a
he's
Premier
probably
League
a
midfielder?
tweener.
I think he's in if you had to rank it between players like where they would fit in the league, I think he would be like a bottom half Premier League player. You know what I mean? Like a bottom half of the team, like championship, top half, in that range. I don't think that the Premier League necessarily suits him. I think that there's other leagues out there that could suit him better. But I mean, I don't know. I think he's all right. I don't think he's all that. I can name you multiple midfielders that are better than him, but yeah, I mean, I don't. Someone that's like, he's just all right. I don't know. I think he is a bit overrated, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you said that because I think you had him high. I thought I had him.
I had him one spot. I had him one spot higher.
Yeah,
it's
not anything crazy. And again, maybe it says more about Major League Soccer, in recent years, right? I will say this. I mean, he was good in MLS.
We didn't really see him play much in MLS.
No, but you saw a lot of potential early on. Like everyone talked a lot about Tyler Adams, and then when he moved to Leipzig, I didn't know what to expect, but he actually exceeded my expectations for an American abroad. And that maybe is just me being pessimistic. When MLS players leave, I'm like, all right, here we go. Like, I'm ready for them to mess up one time so the world can flame us.
Every touch he makes.
Yeah, seriously, bro. Like that's everybody just stares at Americans and waits for them to fuck up. But anyway, I was expecting more of that, but he actually exceeded my expectations. I just thought that when he made it to the Premier League, people were trying to talk about him in a way, especially during the 2022 World Cup or leading up to it. When they talked about the United States, they talked about like a world-class midfield, and I just don't think they have that. I don't really see it. Yeah. So again, solid pick. Deserves the number 5 spot in this top 5. Anybody disagree with where he's at on this list before we move on?
I'm fine with it.
AJ,
Yeah,
you about-
I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I think maybe Zlatan probably should actually be higher than Tyler Adams if we're talking about overrated.
Whoa.
Yes,
Interesting.
I know, because
But-
it's the Scudettos. If we're talking about championships, I mean,
I get your
those
point. I don't think
are
it's
kinda
bad. I think it could go either way, but I'm just surprised. I didn't see it coming.
Well, you also got to
I
remember
didn't-
Zlatan did. He played with half
Yeah.
a what? Half a knee.
Mhm. Yeah, play with half a knee too, sure. But I mean, that's like a legacy thing, sure. That's like a good, folktale stuff to add to the lore. But if we're talking about like success after you've left MLS, it's I don't have Adams or Zlatan in my top 5. But if we're talking about one or the other, I'm going with Zlatan over Tyler Adams.
That's a fair shout. That's a fair shout. I think, if you were to stack the resumes after they left MLS, whose would be more impressive?
That's true. If
That's
you
true.
like don't look at the player and you just look at what they did, statistics and their position, category, trophies won, he's got a point.
It's hard not to. It's hard not to agree with what AJ just said, and it's crazy because like they were so close. I think when it comes to the line between honorable mention and the top 5 for this list, if one person just shifted Zlatan one way or the other, or Tyler Adams one way or the other, or even the next person that we're going to see after Tyler, it could have shifted this entire top 5. And I think you guys will see why here in a second. But Zlatan and Tyler were very, very close amongst everybody's list, like top 5 to top 7, somewhere in that range. So, but I really didn't think about that. Like, yeah, Zlatan, even if the span was shorter. Well, let me ask you this: if Tyler Adams goes to, I don't know, he's got still a decent career ahead of him, right? If he goes to, I don't know, another Champions League team that's not in the Premier League and goes deep, makes a deep run, gets a consistent starting spot, maybe wins, I don't know, the Serie A or the Bundesliga or something. I mean, does that change your mind?
I think it would. I mean, but he's then got to win another one. So it's he's got a long way to go, I think.
Yeah, I think he does. But again, we're comparing someone who's 41 to someone who's like, I don't know how old Tyler is, 26. So something like that. So there's a good amount of time between them. It's almost not a fair comparison. But right here, right now, that's a very interesting debate to have: Adams versus Ibrahimovic. But anyway, moving into number 4 in our top 5 for tonight. This one should be interesting. I actually like the pick. He wasn't in my top 5, I don't believe. Yeah, he wasn't in my top 5, but here we go. Number 4.
What?
not even my top 10. Yeah.
Oh,
These
man.
photos too are hilarious.
No.
Yeah.
No.
He's
Clint
like literally
Dempsey.
putting up the stink. Because the 4 is not his level.
AJ's onto something. Xiaoyan, you look like your birthday cake just got peed on. What happened? Man?
Number 4?
Number 4 was the pick.
Can you remind me where I put Clint?
Clint? Yeah, you were the highest. So why does Clint Dempsey deserve to be?
The Europa League final, was one of the leading one of the leading scorers in the Premier League, is a club legend for Fulham.
But again, he ended up at 4.
That's Sounders bias, bro.
No,
Come on.
wait. When we did the last video, I didn't give Clint praise in that aspect. I give Clint credit where credit is due. The thing is, Clint did this. Okay, let's wait. Clint did it in an era where this wasn't prevalent. Dude, this guy was drafted as well. This is before it was cool to go to Europe and as a draftee to then go to Europe and be this successful. He's the one who pioneered this. He's the entrepreneur.
I would say he kind of followed McBride a little bit, but yes.
But then he did 10,000 times better. So McBride.
No, sure. He has more on the field skill than McBride. McBride's just a clinical 9. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a striker. He scored a ton of goals for Fulham. Scored probably more than Dempsey did.
He should be top 3. I'd argue he's more successful than Almiron. Sorry.
That's fair. I mean, I think personally, I think the next 3. I know you mentioned Almiron. We'll get there. I think the next 3 I would still put above Clint Dempsey. I think he had the Europa League final. If he didn't make it to the final, how much of a hit does his legacy take?
Doesn't change. Dude, the guy almost won the Golden Boot in the Prem with Fulham.
But the Golden Boot back then is so different from the Golden Boot now. I don't know. At the end of the day, man, it's great. I think it's a fantastic career to have. But there are some guys who have a lot to say about what they've done with their careers post MLS in the top three. I kind of agree with John, bro. I think it's Seattle bias. It was Stephen Fry episode 1, Clint Dempsey episode 2. I don't know, man. Next up, in terms of who had Clint highest, it was John. John had him right beneath you.
No, dude, don't get me wrong. I do rate him. I do agree with him. He has prior to teams looking into MLS, were looking for young players. Yes, he was one of the first ones to do it. And he did a hell of a job of it. I do not disagree. But I would not put him higher than any of my top 3.
I'm right there with John, man. I don't know what it is. I just it's hard for me to do it.
I think this is the right spot for him, you know?
Yeah. Inside top 5, 100%. Like that. That is, I don't think anybody can really argue that except for maybe AJ. AJ didn't even have him or was it top 6?
Yeah.
Top 7?
No, it wasn't in there.
Wasn't in the list. Yeah.
I'll say it's an omission. That's fair. But in terms of top 5, I don't know. I mean, it's a very good career in Europe. But I think it's a different league back then too.
I think what also strikes against him a little bit is he should have stayed a little bit longer. I think moving in 09 to me hurt him a little bit, but it was a splashy move. It was a big move to bring his family back to the States. I get it. I guess he Pulisic making a very similar move at a similar age. But I think he should have stayed in Europe a little bit longer. I think he should have really, really tried his chops at the Champions League. To me, it's like he was okay with what he got. And I was just like, I don't know. I think it hurt him a little bit. Xiaoyan, are we good there? Any more points before we move on?
I'll have more to say when this next person comes up. It's okay.
And but I will say this, bro. You had a good point, right? One of the OGs to really do it, to put their stamp on another country.
Dude, he was the first one to do it. He was the guy.
I wouldn't say he was the guy because
he was the guy.
The next one to me,
he had that dog in him. He had that dog in him.
Fair.
None of these guys.
I don't disagree.
None of these guys.
The guy literally raps. Dempsey literally raps, bro. You can't. Yes, he's got that dog in him, bro. 100%.
Okay, 100%. but the number one, you can't.
No, okay, he's not above number one. No. Jose knows my number one.
I don't even know if you guys are sure about who number 1 really is, but we'll get there.
Oh,
in a second.
no.
Stop.
I know we're debating that, dude.
No, okay.
There's one title that should all.
But amongst the group of creators involved, I just think that certain people saw certain guys certain ways. That's all that I'm saying.
Dempsey is number 3, no matter what anyone says.
Okay,
no matter. I had him at 3.
That's what I'm saying. That's all. I'm not saying he should be number 1. He is number 3. He is a stone cold number 3.
And you're part of a group that has collectively decided he's number 4. Okay, moving on to number 3. The number 3 in this list, you could argue, is the real OG when it comes to Americans who have done it, made it work in MLS and move abroad. And that is Tim Howard.
Yes.
I think at the end of the day, no one can really argue Tim Howard. Going to Manchester United at the time that he did, replacing Fabien Barthez, a legendary French goalkeeper. And then making, I don't know, how was he there? 6 years? Making it work for 6 years as a starting keeper for United before being replaced by Edwin van der Sar. And then coming back, right? Or going to Everton and then eventually coming back to the Rapids. I think personally, we said it last episode, goalkeepers get zero love on most shows, this show included. I think we had to have him in this top 5, and I think to me he's higher than Clint Dempsey. Why is he not in the right spot, Xiaoyan?
Because he's a goalkeeper.
So he shouldn't be top 3 as a keeper.
No, he should be number 2.
Yeah, he should absolutely be number 2. Doesn't make any sense.
I don't think I put him on the list, but it wasn't because I wanted to exclude him. I honestly, when I was making that list, it was like 6 in the morning, dude. I was trying to get that list out, get out the way. I was at work. I had to get the list out.
But John put Slonina on his list and not Tim Howard.
Listen. There's no bias on that. He was at 10. He was at 10. You can't come at me for that. He was at 10. All right. I put him at the very end.
Insane behavior.
Listen. At the end of the day, he's gonna have a better career than Tim Howard. All right, I'm gonna say that.
Wow,
that is a wild
what?
Take. Put it out there. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, he will have a better career than Tim Howard.
So you realize he has to do
From-
more than just start
okay.
at Chelsea. He actually
Oh,
has
no,
to be
exactly,
very,
right.
very successful with Chelsea.
Oh, don't worry. He will be
Exactly.
very
Dude,
successful.
Tim
with
Howard's
Chelsea,
an
don't worry.
Everton legend. An
Yeah,
Everton.
Everton legend.
Everton
World Cup
legend, not
for
like a
USMNT legend. Call it whatever.
not Chicago Fire legend. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can't say it's just.
There's levels to this. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But no, honestly, like I think when it's all said and done, I think he will have a better career. I just think because of the team that Tim Howard had at Everton compared to the team that Gaga could have at Chelsea, I think that is what will ultimately decide whether he has a better career. I think Chelsea has a better team. They have better owners. It's just a more prestigious club. I think at the end of the day, it's going to happen. That's just me. But that's a conversation for another day. We're not here to talk about that.
It's because the ownership of Everton's Iranian. I see where he stands.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Dude, there's that. Like,
I will say this. I mean, look, bro. Like, so you're also banking that he's. I mean, and granted, maybe it's true because of how different the teams are, but you're also kind of saying that he will go on to have a better, maybe national team career than Tim Howard.
Oh, because he's going to play 100% with better players. Like,
yeah, but does that make his career better than Tim? I don't know. Tim Howard had a legendary career. I think it's going to be tough.
He's a stalwart.
Yeah, but bro, I dig the hot take. I think Slonina is how old now? 19?
He's
20,
19 or 20, something like that.
Yeah.
No, he turned 18 last year. No, he's 19 this year. Yeah.
Okay. So he's got a very, especially how keepers age, range is.
He's got
extended.
a good possible 20 years.
Yeah, he's
That's
got
what
a
I'm
long
saying,
time.
Dude. He's got the time.
But man, that's a hell of a bet to make this early. We'll see how it pans out. I think whether or not Slonina has a better career.
Hey, there's a reason why Poland wanted him. I don't know.
Well, dude, I mean, they also interestingly enough, Poland has had some interesting keepers play for them, some interesting talented keepers. I mean, Szczesny,
they do have a lot of talented goalkeepers. They have what? They have Szczesny, Fabianski. They have Dragovic, the guy with the long ass beard.
Yeah. They do produce keepers. So again, I don't know where he's gonna really ultimately kind of plant his flag. But at the end of the day, man, like Howard being 3,
Nope.
I had him at 2, but I don't hate number 2. Like for me, again, 1 through 3, so debatable. Well, at least according to the list, so debatable. But I like this shot, and I like him over Dempsey. And I still think that 3 and 4 for Dempsey and Howard, both 2 USMNT icons, totally fine with it. All right, guys, moving into number 2. I think this one's going to be. Oh man, I want to see the reactions. I'm gonna put the image on the screen and let the chaos unfold. Okay, so number 2 went on to play for Bayern. No, I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, no way.
Had a hell of a career with Atlanta United. Obviously, won the damn thing, and then went on to kind of have somewhat of an interesting career so far. Was it 4 seasons at Newcastle? I will say, and we talked about it a little bit before we went on air today, Shagan had a great comment about this season really kind of saving him a little bit in terms of where Miguel Almiron stands as one of the greatest players to ever leave MLS. Just because he scored more goals this season than he has in the past 3 combined as a right winger. So that's there's a lot to be said about that kind of player. But AJ, this is your boy. He won a ring underneath that banner, underneath that badge. Tell me why Miggy deserves to be number 1.
He doesn't deserve to be number 1, and he doesn't deserve to be number 2 either. He is arguably not even really in the top 5. I had him at 5. I mean, it's kind of a troll pick, but it's still, no, he's he went for a record fee. So, that record fee does kind of sway it a little bit, but I think in terms of the actual impact that he's made, I mean, he's been a Premier League player for a good long while now. That's that should count for something. That's good, but I mean, in terms of raw numbers, it's not great. And but it is something that's we know he has the ability, and we know if Newcastle, they go on to do some things in the Champions League, at least he's got the Champions League experience now too. So there is that aspect that he will continue to probably be on that team. I think it's he's one of their leading scorers. I think it's going to be hard to see him just completely be dropped. But yeah,
I don't think he will. I think he's going to continue to hopefully thrive. I think, when you have a season like this that completely shatters anything else you've ever done at the club, I think that momentum tends to carry forward, right? So we've seen it before. There are other examples, especially in the Premier League. But, I think not top 5 to me is almost, in my opinion, disrespectful. A lot of that has to do with the fee. I think the market, to an extent, dictates what you're worth as a player, right? I mean, it does in a very technical sense, but when you move for 20 plus million from MLS, I don't think that's just a Premier League team trying to show they can spend. I think he showed a lot while he was in MLS, so much so that he commanded a record league transfer fee. I think it was it 27 or 23? It was somewhere in that range.
I think it was 26 or something like that. But either way, it's semantics, really. I think probably.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it may get shattered by, not shattered, but beaten by Thiago Almada, another Atlanta United player. Man, you guys just kind of, know
Where's
how to
Pity
do good business.
Martinez on this list? Pity Martinez.
I mean,
yeah, Saudi League
wrong.
doesn't mean real much.
Dude, but Ronaldo plays there. And Ronaldo said the Saudi League is better than MLS.
Yeah, right. Oh,
that's what he said.
Right. Yeah.
That's what he said.
Totally believe everything that Ronaldo says. Yeah.
Someone get Miggy Almiron to the Saudi Pro League. No, I think look, man, this is a good shout for me. I actually think I kind of it's a good shout. What AJ just mentioned there, all those are good points. I still have him higher. I still think he's a top 3 in this list for me. No. Just because of that alone, he was worth it. He was obviously worth it. It panned out. I have him higher than Dempsey, Xiaoyan. I mean, it is what it is, bro.
Where did you put him at?
I had Miggy Almiron at 4.
Oh, okay.
I had Dempsey at 5.
I have Miggy at 4 as well.
Oh, well then what are we arguing about then?
I said, well, he
I had him lower than all y'all.
He said he shouldn't be top 3. That's what
I said he just shouldn't be top 3. That's it. He should be 4.
I can see the shout. I can see the shout. I think people look at what he did in MLS, which was, again, he lit it up in this league, even if it was for a short time, won the ultimate prize, and then went on to arguably the best league in Europe, and is still relevant, is still producing, is coming off his best season. And he has years ahead of him.
He's
and
a
now
good
he's
piece
in the
for Newcastle.
Champions. Pew, pew,
He's a
pew,
good piece for
pew,
Newcastle, and he's going to help him out. He's going to continue helping him out. I feel like the longevity will be there, and I think at the end of the day, it'll be worth it was a good investment for Newcastle, because I think even now, I don't think that you can get rotational pieces, but I don't think there's going to be a better rotational piece that you can get. You can replace Miggy with a better player for sure, but as a rotational piece, as someone that's actually going to be there, I don't think you can get better than that.
What do you do if you're Newcastle, in the sense that let's say Miggy goes to the Champions League this season, has a pretty good year, right? Does enough, produces maybe comparable numbers to what he did in the Prem this season, but tallies some stats in the Champions League and gets an offer to a big 4, a top 4, a top 6 club, but is not guaranteed a starting spot. If he takes that, does it hurt his legacy? Does it? I don't know.
But it improves it.
It improves it. Why?
He's making it up in society.
Oh God, bro! I mean, give me a real reason, bro. If he goes to Manchester United and Ten Hag only,
please no, please no, please no.
If he goes to if he goes to Ten Hag's team and gets 10 minutes, 12, 15 minutes a game, is that better than just sticking it out with Newcastle and continue to building on the legacy that he has there? I mean, think about it. Like just going to a Big 6 team, is that?
I mean, he would be having the same thing. He wasn't like starts were guaranteed when he was at Newcastle. He's gonna have to fight for a spot, and Miguel Almiron has proven he can do it. So why not test himself again? He's got nothing to lose. I mean, well, yeah, he does have a bit to lose, but I mean, in regards, he only has so much to gain from it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to do it again if he has another great season, if the move happens.
John, would Almiron produce more or less than Chicharito when he was at Manchester United?
Oh,
Less, way less. Why are we even having this conversation? What is this conversation?
I'm curious, bro. So someone that's comparable, someone that's in MLS now that has had a pretty successful.
Chicharito has actually won league titles. I don't think Almiron would be any vital important piece to Manchester
come
United
on,
winning a
man.
league
Miguel
title.
Almiron's in a better place anyway. Newcastle's clear of Manchester United.
Oh,
I think
Jesus.
Chicharito's best season at United was what, 20 goals, maybe somewhere around there. And Almiron so far his best as a winger is 11.
But you could
You're
argue
right.
that
It's different
that-
positions.
yeah, it's
we
it's
have to
different
take into account of
positions.
that.
Yeah. Different positions.
I think
too.
Jose
It's like-
is a Paraguayan in disguise.
Oh my God! I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt, bro.
He's trying to stir up the pot right now, just because Arsenal hasn't done anything of note in over 10 years.
Oh,
what do you want me to do about that?
That's what we're doing. We're dragging clubs to the ground. Okay. All right. Anyway, look, I'm asking relevant questions. I think at the end of the day, when you look at legacy, there's you kind of have to almost depict scenarios that aren't realistic in this moment in time, but with comparable talent. And to me, 11 goals by a winger in the best season of the Prem is not too far away from a 20-goal season by a striker's best Prem season.
Yeah, by a striker that was also on the bench.
No, well, that's his speciality.
I mean, Rome was on the bench a lot too. He didn't start a ton of games for Newcastle. He started at least half, but not every game.
Well, I guess to that point though too, there is a reason why Newcastle let go of St. Maximin. You know,
wait, no, he's still there.
They're confident.
No,
he's gonna move on to Saudi. He's gonna move on.
Yeah, rumor. Saudi league.
Allegedly.
25 mil, allegedly. Not confirmed yet, but we know that that's most likely.
It's gonna happen, bro. It's gonna happen. And I think that they got Harvey Barnes and they're gonna bring him in, and
Harvey
Newcastle will have
Barnes.
some depth, but like I think Almiron is just going to get hopefully a little bit better. Momentum will build, and maybe he'll be higher up in everybody's list.
And then the statue will be built at Atlanta.
He will be a talking point for OG United fans. That's for sure. I think he will be a talking point. Just like they're still raving about how good Joseph Martinez was before he went to Miami, right? So,
No, before he had his injury. Sorry.
Before he had his injury,
yeah. Same thing with Mexico fans and Raul Jimenez, like pre-head injury Jimenez. Was,
okay, yeah, but that's not even debatable, bro. He was top 5. He was a top 5 striker in Europe. What are you talking?
I don't know about top 5, but he was by far like the best player in CONCACAF before that injury.
He was the best striker outside the top 6. Even you could include him in the top 6. He's probably one of the top 5 strikers out of everyone in the top 6.
Dude, I love.
Let's just say he was the best striker at Wolves. Okay, we'll just say at Wolves he was definitely the best. I like that shout though. All right, now to kind of wrap things up, guys, we're getting close on time. The number 1 pick, it doesn't even need a graphic pull up, but I'll do it anyway because he looks pretty damn good, and that's Alphonso Davies. I don't think anybody can argue this man. I think since 2020, that's probably when it was solidified, when Bayern Munich went on to win the UEFA Champions League. Do they get an asterisk next to them for that Champions League title due to COVID?
Kind of.
No, not after what they did to Barcelona.
Dude, they played. No, granted, they won the treble.
Fair, but had it been, had every leg leading up to that been 2 legs, I don't know. I think of more the PSG game and how PSG got there too. Not just for them. I just think the whole tournament had like a weird feeling. Yeah. But I don't know if it counts against individual player legacies too much. Again, just wanted to point the question out. But everybody had Davies as number 1 collectively, except one person who's not here. And I'm not going to say who it is, okay? And it's not who you think it is, so stop. We're moving on. But I do think that, bro, how crazy is it that
someone didn't put him at number 1?
Yeah,
I think it's crazier. I think that's crazier than anything else.
Is Davies the best left back in the world?
No, not anymore.
I think at one point you. I think at one point you could.
Yeah, at one point he was.
Yeah.
Who's better than him
now? Theo Hernandez. I don't know.
Yeah, Theo Hernandez is one.
They're a very similar profile of player.
Right. Similar profile, but he's just better.
I don't know at the top of my head. I don't watch much.
I think Milan would have done better had he been just more impactful in the Champions League. But my personal opinion, I think
João Cancelo.
Cancelo's pretty good. Yeah, I think Alphonso Davies has a right to call himself arguably the best left back in the world.
I mean, he's in the conversation. I don't disagree.
Eduardo Camavinga. I know. Okay.
Stop, bro. Stop. We're not doing that. He said a center mid who happens to play left back. There's no way.
A hell of a left back. He did look good. Hell of a left back.
He did look good. He's definitely, just a baller. He just knows how to play probably most positions anyway. But I can say the same about Davies, right? He's not a natural left back. He's actually a winger naturally,
yeah.
right? He played that in MLS and then goes on, accepts his fate as a left back, and because he wants minutes at Bayern Munich, and it turns out to be one of the best decisions he ever made. I mean, I don't even know if we're ever. Do you think, especially if Bayern go on to win one more in his career, will we ever see a better player than Alphonso Davies come out of Major League Soccer?
Ever? No, but in the next 10 years, yes.
Who?
Oh.
I don't know. We'll probably see somebody.
That was a hell of a shout.
Gaga. I'm calling it right now. Calling it right now. You want to give love to your goalkeepers? You want to give
yes,
love to
bro, but
But the thing is, Gaga's got time too, so I like John's shout. There probably will be
in the next 10 years. Okay, I mean that's fair. I mean, maybe. I think it's hard.
I think it's plausible within the next 10 years that Chelsea wins a league title.
A league title, but a Champions League. I mean, Bayern has won how many titles with Davies there?
Davies has won everything. That's the thing is, though. That's the problem. Davies has won everything. The treble, Super Cup, Club World Cup. He's done it all.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
And he's an elite player. Yeah.
He scored Canada. Like he scored Canada's first goal. And granted, he also fluffed probably their best chance to get any points at the World Cup.
yeah, that's true.
but he lost me a bet that day, but that's fine.
But like Davies has done like everything. Like it's like kind of like with Bale and Wales. Like he's just done everything he can.
Comparing, that's an interesting comparison, right?
No, but just because they both play for nations that are like they're good.
Yeah, they're carrying them.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
I think Davies could eventually get more help. I think Jonathan David could step up. I think there's a lot of pieces for Canada that can step up, but like, yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, he's pretty much carrying Canada.
Bale probably had it worse. I think with Bale, when your best teammates around you are Aaron Ramsey, Ashley Williams,
you're gonna make fun of an Arsenal icon. Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this right now.
AJ's right there.
This is how I know you're not an Arsenal fan. All right, I don't consider him an icon. I personally don't. I think Ramsey used to piss me off more than a lot of players did at Arsenal.
That's wild,
yeah, dude. No, it's not wild. I have a love-hate relationship with Aaron Ramsey, especially.
The injuries, sure, and then maybe him always being played out of position as like a right mid sometimes by Wenger. But
Jack Wilshere's first 2 seasons were better than any season Aaron Ramsey had at Arsenal.
Granted, those are 2 really good years.
I'm just saying, 18 and 19 years old.
Fair, but the clutch goals that he scored, I mean, it's just.
Dude,
I don't know how you
penalty miss you had in the Europa League final.
Stop! How do we get here? How did we get here? No,
sorry, I brought up Bale and I got
no, bro. Either way, Ramsey. Yes, okay, that stuff pisses me off. But then on top of that, all it's just like he's held in high regard. I think he's had a couple worldies.
Dude, he's Welsh.
Mm-hmm. I guess. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, bro, I will take, like I said, Jack Wilshere, Santi Cazorla. I mean, I take a number of center mids.
Santi, yeah, of course.
Going back to his point,
Ozil, yeah, you name it.
Going back to his point and staying on topic here, like, yeah, that comparison's perfect because he carried Wales to the World Cup. Davies did the same thing
once. I think,
and that's it. I
think Davies will do better.
I know. I think at the end of the day, Davies will do better because he has more help. Can you
Bale?
But I think Davies is gonna end up.
That's
having
so
more
cool
help
though. We have an MLS player that could be on Bale's level. It's kind of legit, guys.
I think so. I actually think it's not a bad show. John, keep going. I think it's a good show.
Legitimately, I think because he's gonna end up having more help at the end of the day, he's gonna end up having a better career.
I think
maybe
Canada
not.
And Wales
maybe
are
not.
on
Maybe
the
not the
same
Champions Leagues. Maybe not the Champions Leagues. And who knows? Maybe he moves on to Madrid. I don't know. Things could happen. But
he could.
I think the craziest thing is that we could have a player that could potentially get to that level.
The craziest part is Barca could have bought Davies, but the president said no because he's Canadian.
The president, who's also right now being tried for money laundering. So
it's okay. He'll go to a better club. He'll go to Madrid. He'll be fine.
Yeah, I think like in all honesty, I mean, I'm okay with Balde at the end of the day. He seems to be cooking Madrid just fine his first year.
Ooh.
Alejandro Balde. Remember the name. With that said, Davies could end up at Real Madrid. We can have a CONCACAF player starting as left back, which he will easily do. He will easily slot into that left back position at Real Madrid, not even close. Coming from MLS, that's actually super wild to think about. And again, I don't think anybody's ever going to beat him. Boys, in terms of this list, he had a 12-point gap on the next person. Like it wasn't even debatable. Like Alphonso Davies is probably always going to be the world-class player Canada has. Mexico has had world-class players. To this day, I personally do not believe the U.S. men's national team has ever had a world-class player come to the
Nope,
ranks.
they never have, and probably won't for the next 10 years have anyone close.
Yeah,
next 20. Next 20. Put
it's
25.
wild.
Dude, let's keep stacking it on. 30, 40. It's up the ante.
25, 50. I don't know.
The biggest country in CONCACAF still has not yet had a world-class player come to the ranks. It's just really, really interesting.
Dude,
I think it'll get better eventually, but at 20 years, I'm putting
it's like you get a lot of people in the mid category range, right? But you don't get one that just takes your team over the top. And I don't know. I don't know if that'll ever change. We'll see.
One thing I want to stir the pot a little bit is Davies is he the most successful player to come out of CONCACAF? Is he up there?
No.
Ever?
Nah. Huguito, you can't put him higher than Huguito, bro. Come on.
I mean,
the fact we have to kind of think about it a little bit, and he still has more to come.
Rafa Marquez, you can't, bro. Come on.
I think he could surpass Rafa Marquez.
I think he could. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think he could, but he hasn't yet. So I don't think.
But he could.
So
he's kind of close.
Do you think Davies could start in that back line? I mean, yeah, he probably could. If I think about it, that Rafa was playing. Rafa was playing.
For sure. For sure.
That back line, but that back line was still pretty legit that Barcelona had. They weren't world beaters like 2011, but that 2006 back line with Rafa back there, him and Puyol, and I mean that was about to come through. I mean, look, there was a lot. Sambrota, there was a lot of good talent back there in that back line. But Davies is just crazy. I mean, his athleticism by itself.
It's his speed combined
that's the
with his
difference between a Yedlin and a Davies. Like they both were fast, but like.
But Davies is naturally an attacker. I think, and that might be it. Maybe I'm not saying I don't want to.
Even defensively, Davies is really good.
Exactly. I'm not shaming defenders. I'm saying that maybe it's somewhat a little bit easier to teach an attacker how to track and defend than
you can't defend a right back.
You can't defend a natural right
than it is the other way around, right? But I don't know. Again, I'm trying to play devil's advocate for Yedlin fans out there because at the end of the day, he still has something to his CV. He does, but he's not Davies. He's not a world-class talent like Alphonso Davies.
Davies might do Vancouver. It's crazy he got produced by Vancouver. Obviously, well, he's Canadian and whatnot, but Vancouver Whitecaps.
Yeah.
And he might go down as one of the greatest players in CONCACAF history.
Yeah, I don't know if the Whitecaps will ever produce a player like that ever again. And I don't know if CONCACAF really will. I think it will not ever will. It'll be a long time. In my opinion, and that's every big country in this region. I don't know
because he's won every. That's the thing is like you have to have someone that's would have to win everything like Davies did. Be kind of like a bit of a club legend cult here, like someone that has that longevity and has won like a lot of individual awards as well. Like you have to have like all of that, and who's gonna do that?
How long do you think he's gonna stay at Bayern? Or do you think he ever moves on?
If he does leave Bayern, it only for Real Madrid or Barca.
Yeah, so it'll happen this summer or next summer. I don't think they wait. I think the only reason they're not doing it this summer is because Real Madrid may try to weigh up the Mbappe move sooner rather than later. But that's going to cost a lot of money. But Davies will move. I really believe it.
And that's only going to up him in this list.
If it doesn't, I'll say this: if it doesn't happen this season, it'll happen next season because they can just bring Mbappe in on a free. They don't have to cover that fee. So
they could, but I think they see. I think Real Madrid they want what they want, and they can go after it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. They
could, but they're
Barca could be the same. But if they didn't have a president that doesn't like Canadians,
he's not there anymore. Xiaoyan, he's gone, bro. He's gone. He's in jail. He's in jail, bro. Are you happy? He's in jail. He's in jail.
He should be for what he did to Davies.
We're still shitting on this. Locked up, bro. Anyway, before we wrap up, guys, we do always kind of mention who was not in this top 10, which, by the way, before we get to that, we only had 2 defenders in this top 10, by the way. It was Alphonso Davies and DeAndre Yedlin, only outside backs. Bro, no center backs got love in the top 10. That's kind of crazy.
Where are you going to put?
I don't know. So there are some that made it outside of the top 10, and you could argue they have some kind of legs to stand on, but not really, in all honesty. But the first one, not included in honorable mention, DeMarcus Beasley.
Oh, I forgot.
Which we were talking about pioneers earlier. Like
Yeah, no, he
Kinda.
deserves it over
Yeah.
Yedlin. That's
Kinda.
1,000%.
And someone who
Yeah.
played multiple positions, had the wing spot,
Mhm.
right? And then over time became an outside back, was pretty
Like a
decent at it.
Davies, yeah.
Yeah. I think, very
Huge.
versatile player. I mean, USMNT icon through and through. There's a lot to be said about Beasley, but I can see why, again, recency bias is undefeated. So he didn't make too many people's lists here, but he was high up in a couple people's.
Shoot. I feel
Anybody
bad
feel
now.
like he should have been
Yes.
top 5?
No, top 5.
No,
Sorry.
not
I
top
think
5. Maybe an
top-
honorable mention, but not
Honorable
top
mention?
five.
Yeah.
You
honorable
put
mention,
you
top
put him
five.
in there for someone like you said for Xiaoyan said Yedlin.
Easy.
I
I mean,
I
that's
wouldn't
player for
disagree. I wouldn't
Yeah.
disagree.
But someone like, I don't know, Jack Harrison maybe.
No.
It's a tough
I don't
debate.
know.
It's a tough debate
For Aronson, sure.
It's-
Yeah, I agree
maybe.
too.
Sure.
Yeah.
for Aronson, but not
But
not for
it's
not for Jack
close,
Harrison.
man. He's like right in between.
Mhm.
Man, if Beasley had played for like I don't know,
Because
man.
the thing
like,
is, too, we have to think about he played for like City before City was City.
yeah. He played with Greg Bell in
Right,
City.
exactly.
That's
Yeah,
a different city.
Right. And it's a different league back then. It's the
So
competition.
you're
is
talking
just
about when
not
they
as
actually
fierce
became a
right now.
club, when the club was founded in 2009.
Exactly.
Exactly. When most of the fan base was founded. Yeah, I think I don't know, man. There's a lot to be said about Beasley, and he just gets lost. Like he really isn't talked about that much, even outside of
yeah.
our own debates today. But past him, the next one up was Tim Ream. It's
I
a
was-
50-50. He's very mid for me.
I think
Yeah, he's
just
not a
mid-
great player.
I didn't watch enough of
But-
Tim Ream, so
Mid.
that's why I didn't include him in mine. That's just me, though.
Fulham had a pretty good finish. He started almost every match for them this season. I mean, I think he's been good. He was definitely good in MLS. He's translated to the U.S. men's national team pretty
I
well.
didn't know he played in MLS.
Yes, Tim Ream did. And I think that his career in Europe really hasn't been impressive because he had was it Watford before? He's had like just random brief stints with okay teams in Europe. This season with Fulham finishing 8th, I think it was. Were they in a Europa League spot? They were close. They were up there with Brighton for a good chunk
They
of
were
the season.
close. They almost got a Europa Conference.
Yeah. They're a decent team, and he was at back. Him and Anthony Robinson were like the whole left side of that back
He's
line.
the captain, man.
Mhm.
He's the
Yeah.
captain.
There's a lot to say. We mentioned Tyler Adams, we mentioned Brendan Aronson, but we did not mention Tim Ream. It's just
I think-
it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm going to disqualify this pick because technically he didn't play at all. But we talked about before Weston McKennie, but he was in there. Matt Turner, boys. Matt Turner back up at Arsenal.
Nope.
No.
He hasn't
I will say it's pretty cool to see he did it at 28. I mean, 28. A lot of guys were just gave up by them. Like, this is not for me. I'm not going to play pro. And then he did it, bro. I mean, I'll take that.
It's a nice story.
It's cool.
but
Cool
not good
story.
enough.
He can talk to someone else about it. I don't care.
I don't care for it.
Yep.
Honestly, the less I hear about him, the better. I don't really care.
And you know what's crazy though? You know what's crazy? He's had more matches suited up than Selena has in the Premier League. Just saying.
All I'm gonna say
Just
is he's older. He's older. Who's older?
Fair. But doesn't make the statement wrong though. Again, he's
Doesn't make
How
the
long
statement
how long are they
wrong.
both been in the prem?
being a backup, he's played actual
Okay.
matches.
Okay, Selena's been in the
But
prem
then
for
again,
6
he's
months.
played for a
How
team.
long is-
But
how-
Selena's going to play for a team that's won the Champions League.
And Selena's team is in 12th place. His team is in 12th place, and he still didn't get any time. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. That's actually
You have
wild.
Mendy and you have Kepa. What do you want him to do?
Be
All
better,
you
John.
have
I
is
want him to be
Lance
better,
there.
bro.
Turner has to fight up
Please,
against
people.
the guy that got chipped from over halfway in the Europa League. Like, come on, man.
You mean the most valuable keeper in the world according to the transfer market? You mean him?
Who?
Aaron Ramsdale? He is the most valuable keeper in the world. Check Google.
Yeah,
Thank
the
you.
guy who got relegated twice.
Come again, boys.
true.
Come again. All right. On the next one, your boy De Gea hasn't been in that top 5 list since
I don't
when.
even need to
And
talk about De Gea,
Onana's
bro.
not in that
We
list
ain't
either.
talking about De Gea. We ain't doing this.
At
thing.
least Onana's played in a Champions League final.
Hey,
Hey,
facts.
fair. That's fair. Did
My
he win it?
goalkeeper.
Did he win it? We're in the same spot then. I mean, my keeper hasn't won it yet either.
Hey, shit. At least
Um,
my club's won Champions League. That's all I gotta say.
Anyway, on to the rest of this list. Valentin Castellanos.
Oh no, I forgot about that one too.
He was on my list.
He was on loan though.
I mean, he's gonna get sold. I mean, look,
Yeah,
it's
he's
about
gonna
to,
get
it's about
sold,
to
but-
happen. I think, bro, and scoring 4 on Real Madrid with Girona, bro, come on, man. That is a
But
massive thing.
it's one season. Can we really?
Right.
Like,
There's
I
no
could
longevity
see.
really with
The
those.
longevity just isn't there. It's one season.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
one game.
He's about to get sold now. I think he's going. Is he going to the Serie A now?
I think it was. It was.
Yeah,
I don't
from
know.
Spain. So he's done it now in La Liga, where he's been a top 5 scorer. He's put up 4 against Real Madrid with a team that was a relegation candidate. That's crazy. And then now, if he goes to Serie A and does the same thing, does he have more legs to stand on? Does he break into your
should
top
be in
5?
the top 10.
Top 10,
Oh,
not top
Top
5.
5. None of these guys are top 5.
We did have a shout for George Mihalovic.
Who?
Georgie.
Georgie, sorry. George
Oh,
Mihalovic.
Mihailovic? No. Then we
He was
should
doing.
put
He's been doing really good for AZ.
Then we should put in then we should put
we know who
Colbass on
picked him.
this
We know
list.
who picked him.
In fairness, I put him at 8. Okay, he was
Dude, then all right.
bottom half.
All right,
Bottom
AJ,
half.
let's put in Cole Bassett, baby. Cole Bassett, where's he on the list?
And then we also had Tajon Buchanan, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, Xiaoyan had a good little shout there. I mean, the Canadians, he's one of the better ones for sure. One of the more exciting ones to keep an eye on. Past that, the last 3 were Mark McKenzie, Carlos Bocanegra, which is an interesting pick, and Gabriel Slonina by yours truly, the man who claims he will have a better career than Tim Howard at the end of the day.
You're
John
gonna
Rivera.
come back to this in like 10 years, and
No one's coming back to this in 10
listen,
years.
you're gonna come back to this clip in 10 years, and I'm telling you, he's gonna be better than Tim Howard. I'm guaranteeing you.
Dude, John's gonna be the one to screen record this. Like Twitter's evolved. Twitter's like long evolved.
It's not even Twitter.
He's gonna dig up the old group chat 10 years later, and he's gonna send it
at this point.
We're all
Yeah,
gonna be
just put
retired
one
at that
thread
point,
there.
and he's gonna be like, "Guys, I told you."
I bet, bro. I mean, look, this is a hell of a pick, and technically, man. I mean, if you had to bank on someone,
It's not a
this
wild
high of a
pick, though.
No,
ceiling.
it's not wild. It's just funny. It's just funny.
Look, man, it's
I have
kind
to,
of
I
wild.
have to.
He got
I
picked
have
up by.
to, though.
Yeah.
I have
But,
to.
okay, but by that statement, DeJuan Richards from Jamaica is going to be the next Eden Hazard for Chelsea. Right? I mean, he's an 18-year-old signed by Chelsea to their academy, super high ceiling. I mean, I made the same exact bet, and we'll look 10 years from now,
Jose, we honestly could have made that same bet with you and the Funes Mori brothers and all that. You could have been the next big thing for FC Dallas.
No, dude. I honestly, I was probably a hater back then when I was playing against those guys, but I bet the Funes Mori brothers weren't going to be anything. One of them actually completely changed my mind. He wanted to play for Everton and the Argentinian national team. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Rogelio Funes Mori, nah, man. He Mexico.
Please don't get called up ever again. Stay away from my national team. The farthest that you can be away from the national team.
But he hasn't been called up in a while, so you guys are fine.
And what's
Well,
crazy
no,
is
but listen. He had a good career for Monterrey. Yada yada yada. Tell me whatever. Great, fantastic striker in the Mexican League. I don't disagree with that, but keep him away from the national team, bro. We have way better strikers.
and to be fair, he's only there because he couldn't cut it for Argentina. His brother could as a defender. He could not as a forward.
Yeah, but as a forward, yeah, you got Higuain, Tevez. Are you really gonna crack into that? Dybala.
I mean, fair. Argentina doesn't produce the defenders the way they produce attackers, but nonetheless, man, he did start an entire Copa America for that team. Well, meanwhile, his brother was cutting it up with Monterrey.
Dude, Jose, that could have been Jose's Copa America spot. He took it away from him.
I think those dudes are like, again, great, fantastic when they were young. We're making these bets right now. Again, DeJuan Richards, Gabby Salina, who knows which one has the better career long term for Chelsea.
Hey,
but
I'd throw in a shout. Maybe Chris Brady at some point goes to Europe as well. I can see it happening.
There has been high praise with Chris Brady.
He's had a good season. He's having
Chicago Fire might be washed, but they can produce goalkeepers.
Listen, we got good goalkeeper. hey, John Duran. Hey, don't let me forget John Duran.
Oh,
don't let me forget John Duran. He went for 20 mil.
You're right. I forgot him as well.
Hey, I'm just
you guys do good business. I will say that you guys do great business.
Listen,
right?
we got to spend that money. That's what we got to do.
You guys do good business.
Spent.
But at some point you got to convert it over to everything else, wins and
Hey, we got the wins. Wait, it's 5 out of 6. We're good. 5 out of 6. We're sitting pretty right now. We're doing good.
Hey, you're doing
MLS All-Star Kai Kamara.
So what I gotta know, man. what's the bet? So you guys made your bets, but what is the actual bet?
Who has
What's the
who has the
forfeit?
the better career? Forfeit?
So
I
Out
don't
of
know,
the
who has
two,
better career,
the
and then-
the two young players that we mentioned, and what happens if we win or lose?
yes.
Dewan Richards versus Gabi Slonina. They're
Yeah,
both
who
over the
will
same
keep a
age.
clean sheet first, or who will score first?
All right, fine.
I think that's easy.
And we'll do this. We'll
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this. We can do a kit bet. I think that's an easy bet.
That's easy bet.
Easy bet.
Ooh.
Only
And-
$90. So
and
that's not a big deal.
A loser has to wear it on the episode.
I
on
love
the-
it.
on
It's
the
never
next
gonna
episode.
happen, so no one's gonna have to wear
What
it.
kit though? What kit are you calling though? What kit are you calling? Connor,
Well,
Arsenal,
I'm going to
or
get you an
calling?
Arsenal kit. You're going to get me a United kit, and
Okay, fair.
I'll rock it.
Fair.
Fine.
There it is.
Fair.
There it is.
It might burn my skin when I put it on, but it'll be fine.
Oh, don't worry. I'll be wearing a hoodie over it. Don't worry.
100% will.
It's not gonna touch the skin.
Same, bro. Same. Wholeheartedly same. But boys, that was our list. It was the top 5 best players to ever exit Major League Soccer and go on and have careers abroad. Guys, this was a fantastic show. It went a little bit longer than episode 1, but there's a lot to be had here in terms of banter. Xiaoyan, AJ, John, thank you all so much for joining the show today, man. We're going to have another one for you guys next week. We'll probably mix up the co-host a little bit. There will be a different topic, but as always with Wake Up MLS, it's not just about your ball knowledge. It's about how well you can defend it. From everybody here at Wake Up MLS, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.